Okay.
Hi, everyone. We are going to spend just a minute or two at the top of the hour here waiting for people to trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, it is about 2 minutes after the hour, so we are going to go ahead and get started as people are still trickling in a little bit. Hi, I'm so glad to have you all here. I am Kelsey Johnson from Smith AI. Really quickly, Smith AI is a virtual receptionist and chat service for businesses. Our receptionist can answer calls, chats, texts, and Facebook messages, transfer calls and take messages, qualify and intake new leads, book and reschedule appointments, and much more. If you are interested or want to get a free consultation of our services, please head to Smith.ai. Today, we are going to talk about data-driven AdWords campaigns and lead response strategies to convert more clients. Matthew Prepis is going to get started on the AdWords campaigns part of this presentation. When he's done, I am going to take over and talk a little bit about creating a conversion strategy for the clients that are brought in through the marketing that you've done. And so I'm going to go ahead and let him take things away right now. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the chat or the Q&A. We will get to them as the presentation goes along if we can, but if not, we will go over all of the Q&A at the very end of the presentation. And we are also recording this, and it'll be available on YouTube within the next 24 hours for you to rewatch in case you missed anything or you want to revisit anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the intro and looking forward to getting this started. So I'll just jump right in. And part of my presentation is going to be a quick introduction to SmartSites and Google in general. So I'll walk through that in just a second. So our story is going to start about 22 years ago. 1998, Google was founded with the main goal of basically organizing the world's information. 2 years later, they saw the opportunity to monetize this and allow businesses to advertise for various keywords, and that's how the Google AdWords program was created. A few years later, they put together a list of experts, including one of the owners here, Alex Mellon, who was basically an AdWords qualified individual who helped businesses like you and anyone else out there organize their ads campaigns. And as time went on, SmartSites was founded. We became Google partners, Google Premier partners, and eventually channel partners through our number of clients managed, the dollars managed, and the customer satisfaction. And last year alone, we actually managed roughly $33 million in Google ad spend. So Google Ads is a big part of our business and something that we're really passionate about here. So I mentioned the founding of the company previously. Actually started by two brothers, Alex and Michael Mellon, about 10 years ago. Alex really cut his teeth on the Google Ads side. After he graduated, he was working at an agency called Publicis. And I apologize if some of you guys have heard this before, but he was managing companies like Samsung and Walmart, mainly their digital campaigns, their paid search. Mike on the right side, his younger brother, he started his first company back in 2007 while he was still studying at Cornell. And even though basically he was just a kid working out of his dorm room, he had some pretty big clients under his belt where he was performing digital marketing for companies like Disney, Lexus, Budweiser, and PokerStars. So that was basically where we got started, and Google AdWords became a big piece of our puzzle there. So I don't claim at all to be Google AdWords experts. The really cool thing about SmartSites is we started out as a team of 5 and grown to about a team of 150. So when you work with us, you'll have a team of individualized specialists who actually helped me put together this presentation with a lot of the research here. And when you work with us, you'll have someone who's really confident and competent in what they do. So I'll quickly run into Google Ads. I don't think it's something that anyone is not familiar with, but basically Google Ads is a way to connect yourself with your potential customers through things like search ads, video ads, display ads, and app ads. Google has become a giant in these past 22 years since they were founded. It was estimated that Google Ads accounted for about $134 billion of Google's revenue last year. Same as of last year, there were roughly 4 million plus advertisers on their channel or in their advertising program, with average costs ranging from $1 to $2 per click and as high as $1,000 plus per click. And Google makes it really simple, as you'll see in this video in the background, to get your campaign started. So I'm sure many of you have tried this out and said, hey, this looks simple enough. In 5 steps, I can get my ads running. But as many of you know, it's not necessarily that simple. While getting your ads live is a pretty quick process. You can get it done in less than 5 minutes. Having it be successful is a whole other story. So that's how and why data comes into the picture. Because if you just build a campaign and set it and forget it, there's a good chance that a lot of your budget is going to go out the door. So some of the biggest complaints that I've heard personally is just in relation to Google Ads is the cost, too expensive. Hey, me personally, I skip the ads myself. I don't have enough control. I've tried it, it doesn't work. And a lot of those feelings are valid, but the expensiveness is only true if you're not getting a return. The ad skipping is fine for yourself, but still roughly 40 to 50% of people click on the ads. So even if you don't personally, there's still a lot of people out there that do use it. The control is something that I find surprising how much control there actually is. There are lots of settings that I find out, every month that are very interesting, and I'll walk through some of the kind of control that you actually do have over this. And I've tried it before and it doesn't work. That, again, that's fine. I would love the chance to show you how it can be effective and some things that we would do if we were to take over. And why do people leave? So people try it and ultimately it's the results. They're not getting the return they're expecting. So they try it for as short as a few hours or as long as a few months and walk away. And I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of things that you can do to make it successful. So that's where the data comes in, and that's where we come in. So a big part of our process is, of course, setting up the campaigns to make sure that it is built with the maximum potential. But even if we build up the best possible campaign, there's still a lot that goes into it to make it successful. So every week, every month, every day, we're looking at these campaigns, making smart adjustments, looking at the keywords that come through, and not only what they're searching, but how they're searching. What devices are they using? Where are they coming from? What times of the day are they searching? What's their age? What's their gender? What's their income? And use these data points that Google gives us to make the smartest possible decisions and have it reflect on your campaigns. So what I actually want to do is 2 things. One, I'm going to walk through a little over 100 medical businesses from this year. So this data is around $6 million in spend between 100 of our medical clients just for 2020. And what we'll be reviewing today is some of the interesting kind of facts and figures that Google gives us on these people, just to show you maybe some surprising insights that you might have known. And then from there, I'll actually walk you through a case study of a medical client that we worked with that is using Smith AI and how it actually affected their Google Ads campaign. So there are a lot of metrics that we could look at. Here are just 4 that I thought were interesting. So what we're going to be discussing here in terms of a conversion are going to be phone calls or contact forms and appointment schedules. So those are really the 3 main factors when it comes to at least a medical business. So for e-commerce businesses, it might be a little bit different in what we track, but in this case, it's phone calls, forms, and appointments. So again, looking at this $6 million of ad spend and 100 clients, I'm not going to wave the audience and have you guess, but just kind of think about it. If you were to guess which gender, male or female, has a higher or lower cost per lead, you can take that just for a second. So in this case, it is females, but to my credit, I would say that it's not too far off. So in this case, it's actually a pretty tight margin in terms of male versus female, but the other ones are a little bit more interesting. Here we're looking at cost per lead on a device basis. So on the left side, you have the cost per clicks. In the middle, you'll have the mystery device. What's it going to be? Who knows? And on the right side, it's going to be what the cost per conversion was or cost per lead was for that particular device. So the first one is going to be tried and true mobile, computers and laptops. The middle one is mobile, and the last one is a very small picture, but tablets do equate for still a lot of search. So tablets by far the cheapest, desktop is right there in the middle, and mobile is about the highest. But if we look at the cost per conversion, it's not necessarily a one-to-one, where the lowest cost per click means the lowest cost per conversion. So on, there it is, desktop, it's around $137 cost per conversion. On mobile, it's 93, so it drops down quite a bit, even though the cost per click is significantly higher. And on tablet, is almost 4 times cheaper than any of the others, or 3 times cheaper, but it's by far the most expensive. So, even the cost per click is not indicative of the effectiveness of a certain channel or device. So again, another interesting finding, at least something that I thought was interesting. Similar exercise, day of the week. And why am I showing you this is because while you might see and you have this great campaign set up, if you're not looking at these small nuances and making adjustments, there's a good chance that your campaigns are not going to be working harder for you each month, and you won't have that desire or ability to scale. So as you can imagine, you can see the cost per clicks from Sunday to Monday, and each one of these is a corresponding day. So the most expensive is going to be Saturday. And again, this is just this one particular case. In a home service field or in an e-commerce field or any industry is different. This is just this particular kind of time frame and clients that we're looking at, followed by Sunday. And I'll kind of just quickly cycle through these. Friday, along with who's going to be the winner. See if anyone guessed it. It's going to be Wednesday. So what we would do in these particular cases is say, hey, we're spending actually the same amount of money Monday through Friday on your campaigns. However, we noticed that the cost per lead is 1.5 times more expensive on the weekends. So let's pull some of that budget away from the times where we're not getting conversions and move it to the places where we are. Or we'll try and figure out with a company like Smith AI saying, hey, we're actually getting a lot of volume on the weekends, but we don't have anyone here to staff these calls. Is there a chance that if we were to bring you guys on, we can actually make this or drop this cost per conversion because we're able to accept calls? So those are other conversations we could have with you to understand maybe why you're not getting as good of a conversion on some of those days. One more exercise, and then I'll move on to the case study, and I'll pass it over to Kelsey to discuss, what Smith AI can do and some of the really interesting things that she brought to the table today. So here is time of day. Again, we'll look at cost per click and cost per lead. So first thing we see here, makes sense. At midnight, it's very unlikely that you're going to be kind of making these non-medical emergency calls. If you have an emergency, call 911. Don't call your local medical spa or surgeon. Call the authorities and everything in between. But the interesting thing here again is the cost per clicks are actually the cheapest in some of the times where the cost per lead is the highest. So just because you have such a inexpensive sounding cost per click doesn't necessarily mean it's the best time to advertise. Our team will look and understand, where you're getting the best returns, where your call is coming from, or again, hey, maybe there is good opportunity at midnight, but you don't have anyone to take these calls, so you're throwing a lot of money out the door. So last here, and then I will pass it over to Kelsey, is going to be an overview of one of our clients, medical spa. They've been working now with Smith AI for about 2 months. And what I'm going to be showing you is data from the month before they started, which was actually a really great month, to the month after, when they've been running for about 30 days. So the client's a medical spa. They're based out of Manhattan, and they have 2 other locations in Westchester and the Bronx. They spend roughly $10,000 to $15,000 on marketing. Their average cost per patient lead or cost per lead is about $100, and they close 1 in 5 patients. Customer lifetime value is $2,000. So if you can, keep some of that money, keep some of those numbers in your head as we walk through the next couple slides. So the month before they started with us, they spent right around $12,000, got 133 conversions. Again, those are phone calls, contact forms, and appointments booked. So roughly $90 cost per conversion. And then enter Smith AI. Kelsey's already made the introduction of who they are and what they do. So for this particular client, they didn't take over every single phone call that comes through the door. They took what's called after-hour calls and line busy or unavailable calls. So after the office is closed and before it's open, the numbers ring to Smith AI. So they're able to connect with their customers even if they're not there. And if the line rings more than 3 times, it gets transferred to Smith AI, who takes over from there. The costs roughly $300 per month for them, or $6 per call. And since they're a SmartSites client, they save $100 in the first month. Just a little fun thing there. And here are the numbers after. So I didn't, no mistake here. It was just a random coincidence that it was 133 conversions as well the month after. But you can see they spent a little bit less the month before, $10,500, and their cost dropped down to around $79. So in total, through Smith AI that month, they had 42 calls, but only 15 of them were leads. So that's what I'm counting in the conversions here. The other were clients that just were calling for whatever reason or weren't able to get through to the spa. So those were 20 or so happy clients who were able to connect with someone, even if the office wasn't around or available. And more importantly, they were able to decrease their cost per lead by 12% by taking in these additional overflow calls. So really quickly, 15 new patient leads, and they converted 20% of those, as we mentioned in the beginning. So they had 3 new patients just from this 1 month with Smith AI. That's if it was one-to-one. So $90 of calls or $300 in that month brought in $6,000 in new customers. So with that math, I think it's a very easy no-brainer situation as to why it makes sense to use a company like this. So that's everything with me. And like Kelsey mentioned, we'll send you over a copy of this video a little bit later. But without further ado, I will stop my screen share and pass it over to Kelsey.
Thank you, Matt. That was very interesting. As somebody who has definitely been in Google AdWords myself, I can completely understand the difference between the way that Google wants you to look at Google Ads and the way that it actually is in terms of how much you're spending versus what you're getting out of it. So I know we have a couple of questions that came in. I'm going to go through my presentation really quickly for about the next 15 minutes, and then go ahead and continue to add your questions, and we'll field all of those at the end of the presentation. So Matt talked a little bit about marketing and advertising with Google AdWords. And what I'm going to go over today instead is not just the marketing itself, but creating a conversion strategy. Now, this is the idea that basically, and he went over it a little bit, when talking about Smith AI, but basically doing the marketing and having somebody click a link to your website or having somebody make a call is not a sale. That is just the first step in bringing on a new client or making a sale or making a conversion. And so today I'm going to go through basically from the ground up how you can build or update your conversion strategy. I mean, if you're converting anybody, you already have a strategy, but how you can really make small adjustments or large adjustments in order to basically take more of those leads and convert them. I'm Kelsey Johnson. I'm the product marketing manager at Smith AI, but I'm also a small business consultant I'm very interested in tech-enabled operations and communication and automation and things like that. Smith AI, as I mentioned, is a virtual receptionist service. We handle phone calls, texts, live web chat, and Facebook, and coming soon, other things as well. Today, I'm going to talk about breaking down the lead funnel and what that looks like, how to capture more leads on all of the channels available, the importance of responsiveness, what leads want to hear during the first conversation. So not just picking up the phone, not just capturing leads on your website, but how to prepare the person who is answering that call or that web chat or whatever in order to truly convert those leads who are coming in, follow-up tactics, and also some technology that you can use to help. So here's a simple lead conversion flow as I've broken it down. So these leads come in from your marketing, from your SmartSites, helping you out with your ad campaigns and things like that, or Facebook or inbound marketing from your website. But basically, that is not the place where you convert. So your lead has to come in, you have to capture them, contact them initially, qualify, gather information, schedule appointment, whatever it is that has to happen between you contacting that lead and the conversion. There is a lot of that sort of information that needs to happen and exchange that needs to happen right there. And so breaking this down into a little bit more detail, basically your lead sources are coming in through referrals, through local listings, all of these marketing tactics that you're taking. And then people are contacting you, but they're not just calling you. They're emailing you, they're filling out web forms, they're potentially texting you if you have that as an available option on your website or through your marketing. They're engaging with your website chat, or they are messaging you on social media. You are either answering all of this yourself. If maybe you're a small business, you might have an in-house assistant or an in-house sales team that answers all of these. Potentially you're taking on a receptionist service like Smith AI to answer some of these. And then the worst one, but which is also available, is voicemail, or sort of an automated system that's answering all of these messages that are coming in. Then you're qualifying them, right? Is this somebody that you can take on as a client? Is it somebody that you can pay your prices, or anything like that? And then there's this whole process of taking in their information, following up with them, going through the process of scheduling them for an appointment or a consultation, signing them on, and then taking their initial payment. And that is the point at which you have made this new sale. As you go through that flow, it's called a funnel because basically there's a huge number of new leads that come in at the top, and through that qualification and sales process, you are sort of whittling down to the people who are actually able to convert. The idea for you, or for your sales team, or for the people in your business that are really intelligent and have all of the high level answers, is to focus them lower down on this funnel. So, taking in the onslaught of incoming calls might not necessarily be something, or website visitors or whatever, might not be something that your company can handle at that level of volume. And so, this presentation is talking about how to find options to basically only take the qualified leads on yourself in your business, or have your sales team only talk to qualified leads, not everybody who contacts you. So I've got 5 steps for creating this strategy. Again, this is being recorded, so if you want to take a look back over at this, you definitely can. The first step is basically to increase the contact methods. So don't just be the type of business that somebody has to call in order to contact, right? Maybe somebody found you through a Facebook ad and they want to message you on Facebook. They've got a question about your services or a question about your business, and they want to know on Facebook. They don't want to have to then go from Facebook to picking up a phone and calling your business. As many of these contact methods as you can reasonably take on, right? And don't, say that you can take Facebook messages and then not answer them. That's probably even worse. But here's a good list of places where you can start expanding these contact methods. So obviously people are calling in. They could be potentially emailing you. They could be filling out web forms. If you have website chat on your website, they could be messaging you through that. You could open up a social media channel through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, I don't know, wherever it is that you're wherever it is that you're doing marketing and where somebody might potentially want to contact you. There's also messaging through Google My Business, Yelp, and other local listings, and Q&A options there. So this might be a place where you put some resources into, if a lot of people are reaching out to you there, making sure that you're being really responsive there. And then other listings that are specific to your industry or business type. And then the step 2 is increasing responsiveness. So 82% of consumers expect an immediate response to a sales inquiry. This is a shocking statistic. That means somebody does not expect to call you and have you call them back an hour later. Somebody does not expect to fill out a web form and have you email them within 24 hours. 82% of people expect to hear immediately from you. And then 90% expect an immediate response to a support request. And 80% of consumers say that they've stopped doing business with a company because of a poor experience. So this is basically, responsiveness is a place where you can really boost your strategy in a way that probably the company that Matt was talking about was able to, in that just with being responsive, they were able to capture and convert more of those leads. So take a look at your strategy, take a look at what you're doing now and see how fast are you answering leads? Who is answering these leads? And are they coming in through phone number, email address, web forms, all these things that we talked about? Who is it that you have responsible for being responsive on these different channels? And you know, is there an opportunity there for you to outsource that to a receptionist service, create an automated response, or, you know, are you just taking a look at this and you are getting back to them? They are hitting a voicemail at certain times. A lot of this is creating this process is just taking a look at what you're already doing and finding room for opportunities for you to improve certain processes and places in order to convert more leads. And be honest, are there places where you're not responding? That is something that's happening, and it's completely reasonable, especially if you are a small, medium-sized business who can't be up at 2 o'clock in the morning to respond to a Google My Business, you know, message or something like that. But it's definitely something to take a look at as you're creating your strategy. A virtual receptionist service like Smith AI can take on some of these things. Certainly the phone calls, which we can, like Matt said, we can take on full time if that's something that's right for your business, but we can also take on calls just from new leads. We can take on calls if your phone rings 2 times and nobody's picked up yet, then that can roll over to our virtual receptionist service, or just nights and weekends if that's when you're not responding to these calls. We can answer website chats. We respond to Facebook messages, SMS text messages if that's a campaign that you're running or you want to give people the option to text you. We can also do things like call back leads who filled out your web form. So if you have a web form on your website and somebody fills it out, you can set it up to automatically send an email to our receptionists and we will call that person back immediately. That's an immediate response that they're looking for. And we can also call leads to confirm appointments as well. All right, step 3. This is all about not just being responsive, not just picking up the phone, not just being there, but actually providing value on that first call. I mean, I'm sure that all of you have thought about this. When you call other businesses, you don't want somebody to just pick up the phone and say, hi, let me take a message and we'll get back to you. You might as well have left a voicemail at that point. The same thing bothers me when I'm on websites that have bad web chat, where they're basically like, I've got a question for you. And they say, oh, can I get your email address and phone number? I'm like, no, I just have a question, So people don't just want these fast, immediate responses. They want quality responses. They want an answer to the question that they have. Luckily, usually with most businesses, there is a certain set of frequently asked questions that probably come in all the time. So as you're putting together this conversion strategy, think about what are the most common things that people are going to ask about, right? Are they going to ask about prices? Are they going to ask about timeframes, services or products that you offer? What's your service area? What's your availability? And how can you make this information as easily accessible as you can to that new lead who's contacting your business? And if it's not you necessarily taking this call, because you might know everything about your business, but you don't have time to take these calls all the time, how can you provide this information to, say, a receptionist service or your in-house team so that they have answers to these questions every single time? And then same thing on the first call or the first conversation, whether it's a Facebook message, whether it's a text message, you need to have the next step set up. So not just answering those questions, but do they have more and deeper questions that this initial contact isn't able to answer? Transfer them to sales. This person should be qualified. Not only do they get to ask you questions about services, but are they within your service area? Do they need services faster than you're able to provide them? Do this qualification process, then take in their information. This is actually like a really neat trick really to convert a client, is to ask them for information. Oh, we've talked about this. It looks like we're able to provide you service. Why don't I take down some more information about what it is that you actually want? Do that sort of intake and get that information. And that actually makes the person who's on the phone more invested in the very first call. They feel like they've actually had their information collected, they have had their problem addressed, and they are in your system, and you are ready to take the next step. And then if it's right for your company, schedule the appointment at, whether it's consultation, whether it's a, home service appointment, whatever it is, schedule it right then on the first call, and take payment if that makes sense for your business too. If you're going to do a consultation and charge for it, take the payment straight away. That is going to let that person know that they're serious about taking you on. And it's also going to let them know that you are serious about taking them on as a client. Virtual receptionists, if you do decide to use a virtual receptionist service to take on this first line of defense, we can answer this FAQ, qualify new leads, gather contact information and intake information, book appointments, take payments, and we can transfer callers if they, you give us instructions of this person needs more information, transfer them to sales, then that's something that we can do as well. All right, step 4 is to follow up on unconverted leads. A lot of businesses sort of think that just because somebody didn't decide to hire you straight away that they're gone, but it's not true. They might just need to do a little bit more research. They might be that type of person who wants to do more research, or you might just have a longer conversion funnel than you thought. So here are some tips to keep in touch with them. Email drip campaigns, gather their email and send them within a cadence, every few days, or hey, are you still interested? Do you have more questions? Here's more information. You can sign them up for a newsletter. You can actually set up ad campaign retargeting, which is something I'm sure SmartSites can help you with. But basically, you can have your site show up in their future searches, create an outbound call cadence, whether it's your sales team, or even if you can have a virtual receptionist service, continue to call every couple of days to check in, send text message reminders if that if you've got a text strategy, and then even physical mailers. Physical mailers are still very, very relevant and can definitely keep you top of mind for these clients. And then also, this is very similar, but also checking in after that initial conversation that feels like it's turned into a conversion, right? Just because somebody's booked an appointment doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to show up for that appointment. So if you do things like send them a follow-up immediately after they fill out a website form, or if they book something, send them an email reminder, a text message reminder immediately afterward, have somebody call them before the appointment to confirm it, send them a new welcome email, send them, if they were an unqualified lead and you weren't able to take them on, send them a referral email, like let them know you know of a service that they can use. Why don't you guys try this out? And then you can just send them an email drip with common frequently asked questions as it applies to your business. There is a lot of automation and outsourcing tools that you can use in order to get this stuff set up. When I say send out a follow-up to a web form, I do not mean get a web form into your email and then open up a new email and then copy and paste and then write them and follow up. I mean, set up an automation system that can really work so that you can touch base with people without having to take so much of this time, of your own time to do so. So obviously you can take a virtual receptionist service for the calls, web chats. Smith AI can also do something cool, which is, we can do a couple of cool things. One of them is if you send, out automated text messages to people and they text you back, we can answer those text messages. It's called an email to SMS Gateway. We can also send automated email and SMS follow-ups to your clients while we're on the phone, which can be a really good system for following up with them. There's plenty of business management tools with intake forms that can really systematize the way that you're taking in new information. Email management software, this can help you with drip campaign automation and sending out those newsletters. Scheduling software, which is one of the ones that I absolutely recommend if you're not using scheduling software like Woven or Calendly or something like that, definitely look into that. Payment software, and then Zapier is a platform that you can use to connect a lot of these different systems together. I have a whole nother webinar all about, options for these and specific companies that I've used in the past and that you can use for affordable solutions for technology. So definitely let me know if you want to hear more about that. Like Matt said, we are a partner with SmartSites. So if you want to get started with Smith AI, you can sign up for a 20 call or a 20 chat free trial. The chat free trial includes text messages and Facebook messages if you want to just plop those onto the plan. You get $100 off your first month with the code SmartSites. And yeah, just try it out and see how that kind of can reduce interruptions. You can learn more at Smith.ai or Smith.ai/pricing. And that is me for my presentation. I know I went fairly quickly, so I can imagine people have a few questions, and I know that plenty of people have had some questions for Matt. I think I'm just going to go ahead and go through and address these questions as they came in, Matt, and maybe you can answer as they come to you. Does that work for you?
Yep, I've been firing off some answers while we were talking in the Q&A section. But yeah, the ones that haven't been answered, I'm happy to discuss live.
Okay, let's see, can you help me generate leads? I'm an independent financial planner and my ads keep getting rejected by Google, and this person is not generating any leads.
Yeah, generally, yes. We need to understand why and how the ads were rejected, but something we definitely discuss a separate call on. If Google Ads is not a viable channel for whatever reason, there are other ways we could help you advertise, but short answer is yes.
Do you have a couple of like common reasons that commonly come up that an ad would be rejected, or is it very much a case-by-case basis for that?
It is case by case. It could be something as simple as the name doesn't match like the credit card on file. There's a lot of things that could cause it, but we need to investigate further.
Yeah, Google does a lot of sort of spam, trying to do a lot of spam blocking. They want to make those ads good. So does SmartSites manage YouTube and Facebook ads as well?
Yes, I think I messaged John. You also send the Q&A. So we manage a multitude of channels, Google, Facebook, Bing, Instagram, Pinterest, if you're interested. So pretty much any digital platform we can help with.
This person is curious how you treat B2B marketing on Google Ads versus B2C marketing. They are on the B2B side, so curious if there are things that you do differently.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every business is different, not necessarily just B2B versus B2C, but every single industry you can work on. So all the plans that you'll hopefully learn more about if you want to schedule a call are very personalized and tailored for your specific space, your specific business size. We want to make sure your message gets across. So again, short answer is yes.
I can imagine there's an element of, the return on a lead, the cost of if a B2C sale is probably a lot lower of a return. So you have to pay more attention to that cost per conversion for the real return on investment.
Right.
One of the problems I have is web forms and the delay in responding. What services can I use for that? I'm already using Smith Chat. Web forms, depending on the web form that you are using, you can set up some very cool automations with this. So something that is really simple that you can set up without even needing Smith AI is you can set up your web form to send an email to the person immediately, after they fill out the web form. You might already be doing this, but you can also set it up to send an email to Smith AI. And our receptionist will get this email and basically make an outbound call to this person, if you're gathering their phone number and say, did you have any other questions? Can we get you set up for a consultation? Let's do some intake. Let us gather a little bit more information about your case, about your situation, and how we can help out with that. If you use a couple of, you can also, with the Smith AI chat, I always talk about this because I got to write the blog post about it. It's very nerdy. You can actually set up something called an email to SMS Gateway as well, where you set up the web form to automate an email that goes out All of these emails go out if you set up the gateway through Smith AI for free, and they get transferred into text messages. And so that person will receive an immediate or almost immediate text message that says, thank you for your interest. Can we gather your information on this or that or this? If the person then texts back, then the Smith AI receptionist will continue that conversation. So that's an option that's a little bit on the techier side. We can definitely help you get that set up. That is a sort of immediate response and turns into a real conversation. But please contact our support team. We have tons of people who are really good at finding solutions to this kind of thing and helping you figure out something that works for you and for your return on investment.
Kelsey, looks like someone has a question for you. How does Smith respond to Facebook or SMS messages?
We respond to them exactly the same way that we do to website chats. So one of the cool things about Smith AI chat is that once you are already set up with a plan, you can add on SMS texting or Facebook messaging. Like I've set this up in 35 seconds. You basically just click, you connect your Facebook page, and then any messages that come into your Facebook page, our agents will respond to them basically the same way that we would to a website chat, because they're mostly incoming leads. So obviously we'll talk to you, we'll onboard you, we'll get a certain amount of information that helps us answer things accurately and really convert that lead. But we're basically responding to Facebook message the same way we would to a live chat. For SMS text messaging, we will provide you with a text messaging phone number, and you can throw that on your website and say, text us here, or you could put it on a billboard or a physical card that you give to somebody, since that's not a great, digital solution, and they can literally take that number and text it. And if they have questions, if they need lead qualification or anything like that, our agents will respond to them immediately. Okay, we've got one more from the chat. In regards to funnels, does SmartSites help create the funnel as well and suggest the best way to test, etc.?
Tough question. I mean, I think I would need to really understand more about your business cadence. Maybe something Kelsey could also help discuss, since a lot of presentation today was how to take a client from initial top of funnel to bottom, but understanding like where do your leads start, where do they end, and what's the piece in the middle. Maybe help get you set up on a platform like HubSpot or Salesforce, something like that, using a CMS to track all of those funnels. So not our core competency, but something we can definitely speak to at a very high level.
Something that a marketing agency will also help you do is bring in more qualified leads at the very beginning, especially if they're very data-driven like SmartSites. So they will be able to do more research and gather more information on the people who are reaching you. And before they even click, before you even pay for that click to your website, they've been able to filter out a lot of those people who weren't necessarily ever going to purchase from you in the first place. And that's actually one of the best ways they can use that data to, make your return on investment better and sort of do it in an expert way that unfortunately we just aren't able to do ourselves when we, as business owners, set up stuff like this. So, do we have any more of the Q&A here, Matt, that I'm missing out on? What is the cost for those Facebook or SMS messages? So it's the same cost as live chat, and chat's the same as calls. And the cost, it starts at $7 per chat, and it goes, if you have higher volume, it goes down to $5 per chat. So it, it does sort of depend on the return on your investment and the cost per, basically we call it the cost per losing that lead. If you lost that lead, would you actually be losing out on a bunch more money? to the point where $6 for that chat, you know, even if it's you only capture like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 of those leads and convert them, is that going to be worth it for you? So that's often the way that I tell people to talk about that. We do never charge for spam or for salesy people or for, you know, conversations that aren't really ever conversations. You know, it's really only when the intent is initiated and we're able to provide value to that person. Would like the link to your webinar on tech solutions. Okay, I will actually send an email out in the next 24 hours with a bunch of resources, and I'll include my tech solutions webinar. I am also happy to, we're putting out tons of this content at Smith AI these days, doing a lot of webinars. So if that's something that you're really interested in me revisiting, then I'm happy to do that as well. Just shoot me an email back when I send out that email. That email will also include a link to the YouTube webinar, or the YouTube recording of this webinar. While medical is clearly great based on the case study presented, are there sectors that do not work well here to avoid a fail?
I mean, I can do a similar exercise for you for, you know, probably about a dozen industries on our website. I think the link is just /work. We have our case studies broken down into a dozen different channels, so you can get a better sense of our breadth of experience. But if you want me to send you over some relevant ones for you, I definitely can do that too.
Yeah, in my experience, the only ones people that I've run into are just if your budget is so low. But I don't know if that's something that that you can address a pretty low budget. Just there's a certain amount of research that needs to be done on the front end of that. This person asks, so do we just schedule a time to chat with you to see if we're both a fit, and does that call cost anything?
I'm not sure if that is for you or for me, but I think on either side, a consultation with Smith or SmartSites is free.
Yeah, if you head to Smith.ai, you can schedule a consultation just to ask any questions and, you know, talk to our experts for maybe 15 minutes or so, and that does not cost anything. No setup fees for us as well. It's just all whether you sign up for the service or not. This person asks, by cost, do you mean the initial analysis?
I guess it depends on the level of detail you'd like to go into, but probably it's going to be a free discussion, free analysis. So no worries there.
Okay, it looks like we were able to cover everything. Go ahead and shoot either of us an email if you have any questions, again, about the content here. And like I said, I'll send out an email within the next 24 hours with resources, including a link to this webinar on YouTube. And thank you all very much for attending. I hope it was enlightening for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Kelsey. Have a nice day, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.